We are less than 3 weeks away from the NHL trade deadline, so let's take a look at a few more targets that I think would make sense for the Oilers ahead of the big day. Now, I think most people would agree that there are two areas the Oilers could use some help. On the blue line, and I'll get to that in just a second, and also between the pipes. Mikko Koskinen has played great as of late, but I still think this team should be looking for a more veteran goalie that can help them out in the playoffs. And one guy who I think fits that description is Braden Holtby of the Dallas Stars. Holtby is having a really, really good season in Dallas this year, and also he has some playoff success under his belt as well. Holtby's appeared in over 90 career playoff games in the NHL back from his time with the Washington Capitals, and this season he's had a nice bounce back with a .278 goals against average and a .912 save percentage with the Dallas Stars. The thing that complicates this move is just the fact that the Dallas Stars are still in the playoff hunt alongside the Oilers. They do have Jake Ottinger, and he's the future between the pipes for the Stars, but if they do look to move Holtby and cash in on that asset, I would expect that the Oilers are making a call to Stars GM Jim Nill. The next name on my list is Semyon Varlamov from the New York Islanders. This is another guy who has some pretty good numbers this year, and like Holtby, he has some experience playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The thing that really complicates this move from an Oilers perspective is that Varlamov has one more year after this at a $5 million cap hit, and if the Oilers are going to go out there and bring in a goalie with term on his deal, they need to be pretty sure that either A, they can offload some salary in the move, or B, that Mike Smith isn't going to be coming back next season. So Varlamov looks like a great target, but I do think it would have to be a part of a bigger deal, and I'll have more on that in just a second. The third goalie on my list is Anton Forsberg. The Oilers signed him as a free agent in the 2020 offseason, and he never even played a game for the organization. He was lost on waivers to the Carolina Hurricanes. He's now with the Senators, and he is having a fantastic season. His numbers are good, even though the Senators are not that good of a team. His cap hit is low. It's under $1 million. And Forsberg will likely be cheaper than both Varlamov and Holtby. In fact, I know he'd be cheaper to acquire than Holtby and Varlamov. I think Forsberg, if the Oilers are looking for a nice buy low candidate ahead of the deadline, Anton Forsberg could be a guy to take a look at. The other area where the Oilers could use some help is on the blue line. I think this team could really use some extra help, whether it's a lefty or a righty. Now, the one thing that would complicate that is if they do go out there and acquire someone who's a right shot, I think they would have to have Tyson Barrie going the other way in the trade, and that's where I'm going with this first name on my list. It's Scott Mayfield of the New York Islanders. This guy is cost controlled. He has one more year on a deal, and he only carries $1.4 million against the cap. He's one of the best value contracts in the entire NHL. While he doesn't maybe do anything great, he's solid. He is a good all-around defenseman who can handle top 4 minutes as well, and at $1.4 million, he would save the Oilers a lot against the cap if they could find a way to include Tyson Barrie in the deal. And this is something a lot of people have wondered about. If Ken Holland were to call Lou Lamoriello and offer up some package that included Tyson Barrie, a first-round pick, and a prospect, would it be enough for him to fill 2 holes in one trade and get potentially Varlamov and Scott Mayfield? The next name on my list is out in Seattle. It's Carson Soucy, a good old Alberta boy, and he'd bring some toughness to this Oilers blue line. At 6'5", 211 pounds, he's a very good defender. And on the left side of the Oilers blue line, if they're not confident in having Markus Niemelainen play every game in the playoffs, Soucy would be a fantastic add on the left side and could play as a very good veteran partner for youngster Evan Bouchard. The next name on my list is quickly becoming one of my favorite targets that I think Ken Holland should be looking at, and it's Chicago Blackhawks defenseman Calvin DeHaan. As you can see here, he's a pending UFA. This is a guy who would be a rental for the Oilers, and we know Ken Holland may be reluctant to do that, but there's no denying Calvin DeHaan would make the Oilers much better. Not only can he play the left side and the right side, and that versatility could really help come playoff time, but his numbers are fantastic. I reached out to our resident analytics expert at NHL_Sid on Twitter, and here's what he had to tell me about DeHaan. 1, he's great against top competition. Among the 7 Chicago Blackhawks D-men who have played at least 50 5-on-5 minutes against top opposition, DeHaan ranks first in goal share. Also, he's great at preventing chances off the rush. 2.7 chances against on entries per 60 minutes. The league average is 3.4. Edmonton's average is 3.6. DeHaan would instantly come in and be one of their better defenders. And like I said, the fact he could play the left side or the right side would really, really help this team and give them some versatility on the back end. What do you think, though? Reach out. Let me know. Drop a comment. Who's your number 1 target for the Oilers as we head closer to the trade deadline? I'm Tyler Yaremchuk. As always, Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and keep it locked on Oilers Nation for all your Oilers trade talk.